Hello, everybody. My name is Travis Leo, and I'm one of the founders of Tracknicity. I'd like to spend the next 30 minutes walking you through an overview of Tracknicity and the new features that are available in Release 2.0. For those of you who aren't familiar with Tracknicity, Tracknicity is a mobile application for field workers and installation technicians who handle parts and inventory for customers. Tracknicity seamlessly integrates with QuickBooks, both desktop and online version, and is really designed for the home technology or AV industry, but really applicable to anybody that handles inventory and product for customers. Some of the key features of Tracknicity is that it offers full inventory management functionality from a mobile device and a web dashboard. The QuickBooks integration that I previously mentioned, we integrate with both QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online in just a single click. You can set up multiple locations, multiple warehouses, multiple vans, staging areas, return to vendor, whatever the case might be. You can use the mobile barcode scanning feature and serial number tracking that's available in Tracknicity straight from your iPhone. Tracknicity allows you and your technicians to check parts in and out of the warehouse, so both parts going out as well as coming back on the job. Helps you do job costing better. Gives you the ability to do custom requests for custom parts that are needed in the field. You can set up user configurable notifications so you can get notified when parts are arrived, so you can complete that job with that last minute part that's necessary. And it's got full reporting and history, so you can search for things by item, by employee, by job, etc. Visually, this is what we're trying to do with Tracknicity. Many companies in this space track inventory in a tracking spreadsheet or a clipboard today. Tracknicity gives you the ability to do that from a device that you're already using today, an Apple iOS device, an Android device, whatever the case might be, to go along with a seamless web dashboard, giving you inventory management at your fingertips. For those of you who are familiar with Tracknicity, you'll be excited to hear some of the new features that are available in Tracknicity 2.0. We've completely redesigned the mobile application to make the interface easier to navigate and greatly enhance the search capabilities. This was the #1 feature request we received after the last release, and we've really enhanced it to make searching for items and customers much, much easier. There's lots of new features and functionality that I'll show you here in the demonstration. We've updated it to include staged items, so you can now see if you have an item that's staged for another job, that you can rob Peter to pay Paul and use it for that other job. We also give you the ability to return items to the staging area if you didn't use them. And we've greatly improved the reliability of both the iOS platform and the Android platform. The new web dashboard has a new user interface that is faster and more responsive. It also gives you the ability to do transactions from the web dashboard, not just the mobile app as you previously had to do with the previous release of Tracknicity. There are enhanced search capabilities, so the same search capabilities that are on the mobile app are now on the web dashboard. And there's more reports, including including a delivered items report and a staging area report that can show you what you have in the staging area, show you what you've delivered in the last period of time for invoicing purposes. You have the ability to see the inventory in the staging area. So if you want to look and steal a part from a job to feed another job, you can do that. You have tracking and logging of manual adjustments. So if somebody's adjusting a part, you can now see who did that and when they did that for audit purposes. And we've greatly enhanced the reliability of the web dashboard as well. Everything is hosted on Amazon Web Services, so high uptime, high reliability for everything that we do within Tracknicity. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to switch over and show you a demonstration of the Tracknicity mobile app, and then I'll switch over and show you a demonstration of the web dashboard. So I've gone ahead and opened the Tracknicity mobile app here, and I'm just using a regular iPhone 12 device here. And you can see that the new dashboard is completely redesigned. So there are 3 sections here: projects, personal, and reporting. Projects is broken into 2 pieces: time and items. So if I click on time here, it takes me into a screen. I can select what job I'm looking for. So I'm looking for the Jane Doe job. That's the job we're going to use in the demo here. I select that. I bring it up. It shows me that I have a budget of 15 hours on this job. I've used 2. If I click right here, I can see the detailed. So it looks like I have a budget of 5 hours for pre-wire. I've used 2. I have a budget of 10 for labor, and I haven't used any. This syncs directly with QuickBooks. So as time and jobs are entered into QuickBooks, that information pops up in here and syncs in real time. The items report shows the item statuses for those particular jobs. So again, I was already in that job. So when I clicked in here, it brought up that same job here. If it hadn't, I would just click here and I would search for the same job, pull it up here. And this is going to give me a list of all the items that I've ordered, items that I've taken from stock, and returns. So you can see here that on these, I've ordered some Chief TS325 mounts here. 2 ordered, but I've received 0 and I've delivered 0 to the job site. So these are highlighted in gray because I haven't received them yet. Maybe I want to get notified when these come in. So if I click on this item, it brings up a dialog box that says the item has not been checked out. It was ordered on Tuesday, January 25th, and I want to get notified when this item arrives. So I select this and close that there. So now I have a notification set to notify me when that item arrives. I can look here and I can see that this control 4 1UREKB has been ordered, received, and delivered. Maybe I want to know who took this to the job site. I click on it here and it brings it up and says this was checked out on Monday, January 24th by Travis Leo. So I now have history to know who took it to the job site. I can look here and I can see all the other parts that have been ordered, received, and the like. And I'm going to use some of these for some future demonstrations here in just a second. So these are all the items that were ordered in QuickBooks and put on a purchase order. These items right here came from stock. So this job called for an iPad mini, a Chief TS325, and a Geffen EXT RS232. So these were staged for the job and delivered, and they were removed from inventory. Again, I can click on any item and see who checked it out, from what location. So if they checked it out from the warehouse or from their van, I have the history here. And then when we get to the end of the job, I can also see any returns that came back as well. So if I want to get a list of, hey, did that come back from the job when I'm getting ready to do the final billing, I can do that here. So that's a quick overview of the project items report. The personal information is the items that are in my assigned location. So I'm assigned to van 1. I can quickly click on van 1 and I can see the inventory of what I have on my van right here. So I have a control 4 EA1. I click on it and it brings me up the history here that shows where I have it. If I click view location, it'll show that I have 1 in van 1. I have 1 in what we call the RTV, or return to vendor. You can call it whatever you want, but that's how we've chosen to call it. And I have 3 sitting in the warehouse. I can see the history here. So I can see that Travis took 3 from the staging area to this job the other day. I can see that some manual adjustments were done. These are the quantities we entered when we were setting up the testing. I can also go up here and I can edit an item. So I can see right here that I have a total of 5. I can set minimum and maximum stock quantities in here. So if I wanted to set, an alert that if I get below 3, go ahead and do that. I would just click on here and I would say, go ahead and update me if I have less than that. I'm not going to do that here because I have one set up to show you in a little bit. I can learn a UPC code for the item. And maybe I also have 1 open box item. So I can put in a B stock quantity of 1 and I can say, hey, I want to carry that in my inventory at 75% of value. So I have the ability to go in here and edit an item. If I back out of here, my next personal report is history. So I can go in here and I can see all of my recent history. So this is just a list of all the transactions that I have made as a user. So you can see in this case, I took 6 Apple iPad minis as a manual adjustment to the warehouse. So this was where I was just adding quantities in there. Here was where I received a control 4 amp to the warehouse. So this was a purchase order for a stock item that was done and received to the warehouse. And then the red are items going out. So here's an item going out to that same job we were looking at. Here's some other items going out. Here's an inventory adjustment. So I can see my whole history here. Again, this is just going to be my history because this is personal. I'll show you on the web dashboard where I can see the other history as well. One of the unique features of Tracknicity is the ability to send a request for items to a specific location. So maybe I know I need some rip tie for my van. So I can go here to select location. I select my van. I can browse for the item if I know what it is and it's in inventory. I can search for it. by just searching in a search. So maybe I want an iPad, and I just start typing an iPad and it's going to bring up all my iPads. Or maybe I need a Chief TS325. I do that right here. But in this case, the item I need isn't an inventoried item, it's a custom item. So I click here for custom item, and I need rip tie, rip tie, and I need rip tie. And I'm going to go ahead and add that. And then I'm going to go ahead and submit that. This is going to send a request to the purchasing person and to their iPhone to say, hey, you have a new request waiting for your for this person. I'll have the ability to acknowledge that request, which will send an acknowledgement back to the requester. And I'll also send a request, or excuse me, an acknowledgement when I have fulfilled that request. So instead of playing phone tag and calling and saying, hey, I need some of this, I can use the same app that I'm using to check out parts to request consumables and deliveries and other things like that. The next section of the mobile app is the reporting. So I can quickly click on here, and it's going to bring up a list of items that are available by location. So if I click all, it's going to bring up any item that I have available in stock. So these are items that I have available for sale, not set up for another job. I'll show you that in a minute here, but I can see any item that I have in stock very quickly. So I know, hey, I need an Apple TV. Do I have some in stock? Or I need an iPad mini. Do I have some in stock? Maybe I just want to know what's in my van, and what do we have sitting waiting for returns? I click that here, and it's going to show me the items that are there. I can go see a full inventory of everything in another report, but right here, this just shows me a real quick glance of the inventory that's available. Company requests, just like we submitted a request up here, gives me the ability to see requests that are outstanding. So here's that request that I just sent. You can see here it hasn't been acknowledged because the person that's supposed to receive it hasn't acknowledged it yet. I can go in here and look at the completed request. Here's one that I did yesterday. So this just gives my status update for those requests. And maybe I need to see, do I have an item in the staging area for a particular job, either to know that I can schedule the installation of it or I can steal it for another job. I can click on the staging report, and it's going to bring up any items that I have in the staging area. So in this instance, I only have 3 items sitting in the staging area. They're all staged for this D1234 job, but if I had more jobs or more items, they would show up here. And if I want to filter, because maybe this is a really long list and I know I'm just looking for an odd AUD EXT1, I start typing in and it's going to filter out to that specific one right there. I can click on the item and I can see when it was ordered, but I can see that it hasn't been checked out because it's obviously in the staging area. So I've got full visibility to the items that are sitting in my staging area. The core of the Tracknicity mobile app is the checkout functionality. So this is what allows me as a user to check an item out from the warehouse or the staging area to a client. So the key differential is that a warehouse is an item that's available for sale. It's in stock in your warehouse. A staging area is items that you have purchased specifically for that job. And let me demonstrate a difference here. So let's start with the staging area. So I click here, click staging area. And because it knows that it was specifically brought for a job, it's going to bring up a list of open jobs in QuickBooks. I select the job that I want, D1234, and it automatically populates all of the items that have been ordered and received for this job. I can quickly look here and see that the red ones are ordered and the blue ones have been received. So I know I don't have these in the warehouse yet. I know I have these. And if you remember back to that staging area report we just looked at, we saw these 3 items. So if I want to check this out because I'm taking it to the job, I simply highlight it here and I go up here and I hit submit. This is now going to create that transaction to show that Travis Leo checked this out on January 25th. Maybe I realize that I don't have the item that I need for the job. Maybe a client said, hey, I want to add an iPad. Well, I didn't buy that for the job, so I need to take that from stock. So instead of the staging area, I go to the warehouse, which was already selected as the default location. Again, I go and select the client, and I'm going to do the same job. And I can either browse, search, or scan. This time I've got the item in front of me, so I'm just going to hit the scan button, and that pulls up my phone, and I take the UPC code, I scan a UPC code. In this case, that UPC code is tied to a Control 4 amplifier. So I'm going to go up here and submit that as well. So that's the core of the Tracknicity mobile app, is the transaction detail. I can do that get that from the same place here. I can also use this to process returns as well. So when I'm done with a job, maybe I can take, this client isn't using this, so I select from the client, I bring up the client, I say I'm bringing this back to the warehouse, and then again, I can browse, search, scan the items that are coming back, etc. So that's the transaction detail. As I mentioned earlier, I have serial number and item detail tracking. I'm going to skip over that because that's a pretty long demonstration, kind of version 3.0, if you will, of Tracknicity. If I go into the inventory piece here, it's going to bring up any item that I have in QuickBooks will show up in Tracknicity. That's the linkage between Tracknicity and QuickBooks. So I click here on Apple. It's going to bring up all my items, even items that I don't have any of. I can click on an item here. I can see the item cost, the item price. I can see the history. I click view locations, just like we did earlier, and I can see that I have 13 in the warehouse. I have all that visibility and history here. Maybe I don't know who the manufacturer is, so I need to start looking for, the Chief part. Okay, Chief, great. And I can't remember the model number, but I think it's like a TS something. Oh yeah, TS 325. Great. There's my hit. Oops, I fat fingered that, excuse me. TS 325. And I can see cost and price right here. This cost and price information comes straight out of QuickBooks. Again, I have my history here where I can see all that information. The last piece I'll show you in the mobile app is the admin functionality. So this gives me the ability to go in and set up an audit. So if I want to do a physical count and audit what I thought I had versus what I actually had, I can do that here. I would just select the location and begin the audit process. Maybe I purchased some items for stock and I'm receiving those into the warehouse. So I bought 4 Apple TVs for stock. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to receive those to the warehouse. So I'm going to search, I can't remember, it's Apple TV, there we go. It's the 32 gig version, let's say. So I do that and I bought 4 of them. So I'm going to add 4 into inventory and I'm going to hit submit. And that's going to bring those into my inventory, which we'll see here in a minute. So for items that you purchase for stock, that's how you go about doing that. At its core, that's the Tracknicity mobile app. I'm now going to switch over to the web dashboard and show you the web dashboard and the linkage into QuickBooks. Okay, so here we are on the Tracknicity web dashboard. I'm just using Chrome here. You can use Google Chrome, Firefox, Safari, whatever the case might be. And I've pulled up the dashboard here. So the first thing I see on the dashboard is I've got 4 shortcuts. The first is checkout items. So I click here. This allows me to process a transaction just like I had done on the mobile app, but on the web dashboard instead. So I can take a part from the warehouse. I can select client. Again, I've got that same linkage with QuickBooks that brings all my clients up here. So maybe this time I want to check it out to Rago Travel Agency, this T5678 job. And I can search for items just like I could previously. Maybe I know it's an iPad. This is the one I'm going to check out. Maybe I'm the warehouse person and I want to stage this for the user to check out. They're actually not here. So I'm just going to go ahead and add this to the staged items list. So when they go tomorrow morning to check out parts for the job, instead of having to check it out, it's already going to be listed on their list of staged items and they'll just select it and go from there. So I'm going to back out of here real quick. Actually, I'll just go ahead and submit this so I can have another record to show. I'm going to go back to the dashboard. View inventory brings me into a real quick view of all my inventory items, just like we saw on the mobile app. The inventory items can be searched right here. Again, I can go and I can see my quantities here. I can see detail. I can view my locations over here. I can see the history. I can edit an item just like I could previously. So I can change the quantity, minimum stock, maximum stock, B stock, etc. So that's my inventory reporting right here. Project reports, this is really the key element of the Tracknicity mobile app. Project reports give me all the information that I need on a project. So again, I've gone ahead and highlighted that same project that we were looking at earlier, but if I hadn't been, I would just go in here, I would bring up the job. Just like we saw on the mobile app, it brings up my budget versus actuals. So I can see that I'm 13% complete. I can see the detailed reporting by phase. I can also see the items that were ordered from stock, returns, etc. So let's stop here for a second and take a look at these chief mounts here. We can see that these two chief mounts have been ordered, but not received yet. I'm going to switch over here to, QuickBooks and go into a purchase order that I've done for those jobs. So this is an open purchase order that I've previously submitted. You can see here the Chief TS325 and the TS525. I'm going to go ahead and copy this to a bill. And I'm going to go ahead and save and schedule payment for this. Great. And now I'm going to go back to the web dashboard, and you can see in real time, it shows that those items have now been received into inventory. So I now have those items in my inventory right here because they've been received. I just entered the bill, and I would enter a bill when I've received it. So those items have now been received into inventory. I can click here again, see that it hasn't been checked out. So this, you can see the real-time linkage between QuickBooks Online and Tracknicity. I can see the items that came from stock for this job. I can see the returns. I can really see everything in here that I want to see. Let me go back here real quick. I don't want to do this. I want to go back to the project, and I'm going to pull up that project in QuickBooks, the D1234, and I'm going to go to the expenses here. And I can quickly see here that if I look, okay, here are those chief mounts that we just did the purchase order for. But if you'll remember, we checked out some items that weren't in the job from the warehouse. You might say, well, where are those items? Why aren't they here? And that's because I haven't approved them yet. So if I go back to the Tracknicity Web Dashboard, there's an approvals queue here. So I click this. This is showing me here are 3 items that you have checked out from the warehouse, 2 jobs that need to hit your job costing. So I'm going to go ahead and approve this. If you remember this item, this was the items that we received for stock, the Apple TVs. I'm going to approve that. And then I'm going to approve this Control 4 item for that job. So now I've gone ahead and approved those items. So if I rerun this project report, and sometimes it takes just a second. Whoops, excuse me, I hit the wrong button there. If I rerun this project report, I'm now going to see that I have an adjustment register here, and I click on that, and it's going to bring up that C4 amp that we just processed for that job for $450. So this shows that I took an asset from inventory from the warehouse, processed it to the job, and that linkage is now hitting QuickBooks. But again, that doesn't happen until I do that approvals piece. So you can see here, I now have proper job costing for everything on that job, both the items that were purchased for it, as well as the items that came from stock. Again, I've got all my other items here that were purchased for this job, so I can do full job costing, everything like that. Go back to the project report here. Anytime you see this icon right here, that means that this is a downloadable and savable file. So if I want to export this to a CSV for whatever reasons, I can do that. I just click on that and I've got a CSV file to be able to do something with there. Let's see what else on this. That's really the core of the project reporting. Again, real-time linkage with QuickBooks. Maybe I want to go in and see history of what I've done. So I can go in here, I can search for all, I can search by user. Again, I've got the history here. So that transaction that we just ran for the Apple iPad mini from the warehouse to the Rago travel agency shows up. Again, all of that here can be downloaded and exported right there. Recent history on the dashboard will just show recent history. One of the real nice functionalities of the dashboard is a min-max report. So you can set up minimum order quantities and maximum order quantities. So in this case, I have set for the Ruckus Zone Director 1200, we want to have a minimum of 5, in the warehouse, and we currently have 3. So as the purchasing person, I can look at this and I say, hey, next time I order some Access Networks equipment, I need to order some Ruckus ZD 1200s. I can look and say, maybe I've got some in some other location that I can move. Oh, no, I don't. So I know I need to order those. That's really the heart of the dashboard. We've kind of hit most of this in going through it, but I'll go through some of the other features. Inventory, new transaction is checking out parts. Again, so this would be your purchasing person checking out parts for a job. We went through the approvals queue. Maybe I want to go back and I want to see previous ones, or I want to show rejected ones. I can go back and I've got my auditing history here. I can easily change my date range to see and go further back. So I've got all sorts of reporting and capabilities here. If I want to look up serial number or item details by location that I saved, I can do that here. One of the big benefits of Tracknicity 2.0 is the reporting. So I've shown you the project reporting, so I'll skip over that. Inventory by location, just a quick view of what inventory you have by location, and the ability to dial down into that. So maybe I want to look at what do I have on band 1, what do I have on band 2, what's waiting for return to vendor, just real quick snapshot reporting. I've got my staging area reporting. So if you remember, we had those 2 Crestron parts that we had previously had 3, but we had checked one out for the job. So that left 2 sitting in the staging area. And then we added those 2 Chief TS325 mounts that were on that purchase order that we submitted the bill for. So now those show up as having been received and ready for delivery. And we also had that Apple iPad mini that we took from stock and staged for this job. So again, that now shows here is ready to go for the job. Again, if I've got a long list of hundreds of items on here and I just want to look for a TS325 mount, I just type in 325 and it's going to filter that down for me here. If I'm delivering an item to the site, I would just click on deliver, and that's going to give me a dialog box, say yes. And now if I go back into my history, I will see that that item was delivered to the job site by Travis Leo on this date. Audits is where I do my audit reporting. If I want to start an audit for the warehouse, this is a pending one that I have. I can go in here and see the original quantity, the new quantity, so the adjustments that are going to be made. That's a more advanced feature that I'll cover in a future version, but this is where you process and approve those audits. One of my favorite functions of the web dashboard is the quick reports. So this is a quick history of any transactions that have been run right here. So if you remember, I just delivered that Apple iPad mini from the warehouse to that job. Again, you can see who it was. I've got that here. Maybe I need to get a list of all items that have been delivered today. I click on delivered items. I would change my date range from today to today, and it's going to say, here's what you delivered today. So I can give this to my warehouse or my accounting person for invoicing or whatever the case might be. I can give them access to it, or if I want to send them an exportable file, again, I would just click here and do that. Aging items will show you the last item, the last date an item was used. So as you start developing a history, you'll see, okay, all these items we've touched on this day, but all these other items hadn't been used since yesterday, which is when we built this test file that we're using. So this will give you some visibility into old aging items that you can then determine what you want to do with. Value by location shows you where your dollar value of assets are sitting. So you can see what you have in the warehouse, what you have in the van, and what you have waiting to return to vendor. One of my personal favorite reports is your most valuable items. So this shows you what you have in terms of dollars tied up in inventory. So you as a business owner or a manager can look at this and very easily say, well, is that a good thing or a bad thing? And hey, maybe I need to start specifying some of these in future jobs that I'm doing because I need to get rid of them and I don't want the dollars tied up. So I really like that quick report here. Min-max stock, this is what we looked at earlier. This is where you set minimum quantities, maximum quantities to know that you either need to order new stuff or don't. And then the total valuation report just shows you a history of your total valuation of your inventory. I can see right here, if I hover over it, I have $17,000 in inventory, and I have $1,400, excuse me, I'll scroll over there, $1,456.16 in the staging area. If I don't want to track that in the staging area, that's a selection that I can make here under company, which I'll show you in just a minute. I can also see the value right up here as well. The last piece I'll show you is the company section. So this is where you go in and you set up your company name, hide any features that you don't use. You set up, this is right here is where if you want to include your staged items in your inventory valuation, you would select it. If you don't, you would deselect it. This shows you how you do your inventory adjustments within QuickBooks. Most often it's an adjustment register that you use for non-inventory items. If you do happen to use QuickBooks inventory items, we probably want to have a conversation about the best way to do that. You can either do nothing or create $0 invoice, but that creates a little more complexity, and that's a conversation worth having. This is where you set up your subscription here. Inventory locations is where you build in your inventory locations. Warehouse is a default location set up automatically. So if you add a new van and you just want to do van 3, you add that, and now you've got a new inventory location that will now show up in the mobile app. Users is where you go in and set up your users. You can define who's an admin and who receives the purchasing requests, like we demonstrated earlier. I can go in and edit that user. I can give them admin rights. I can give them different permissions, such as whether they can see item cost amount or item sell amount. And I can also set up to see whether they receive notifications or not. So that at the core is the Tracknicity Web Dashboard. I've given you a pretty good overview of that. So let me just switch back to the presentation here and wrap up. So why is Tracknicity better than the rest of the applications that are out there? It works directly with QuickBooks straight out of the box and no customization necessary. It's very inexpensive and easy to deploy. There's no hardware requirements, no custom scanners, no computers, simply a web dashboard and a mobile phone that you're already using today. Gives you multi-location capabilities with no additional cost. You're not paying X dollars per each location you add. There's no special hardware requirements, as I mentioned, cloud-based and always available. It's super easy to use. Hopefully you feel that after seeing this demonstration. It's web-based. The purchase order notifications allow you to send real-time information to people who need to know when that item comes in. So if you're waiting for that item on a job that you just need to complete it and wrap it up, you're going to get that notification in real time from Tracknicity. And it's very easily manageable by end users and administrators to protect information. So this allows you to give people effectively access to QuickBooks to add parts to it without giving them full-on access to QuickBooks and abilities to see and do things that you wouldn't want them to do. How do you get started with Tracknicity? Well, you've already taken the first step to schedule a demonstration to see what it can do for you. If you like what you see, you can go to tracknicity.com and sign up for a subscription. It'll walk you through the QuickBooks linkage, and then you'll be contacted by one of us for a free onboarding session. And that's where we'll walk you through getting set up with your items, answering questions, making sure your things are set up correctly, and then you're off and running from there. It's a very simple process. I always encourage the purchasing person and the financial person to be present for that onboarding session because it makes it easier and gets you off and running in a good way. So that's the Tracknicity 2.0 release. We're super excited about what's coming and what's already in the version 1 release. Version 2 has taken a lot of work to get to where we want it to be, but it's a great enhancement, particularly from a search capability. And I think you'll be really excited by what you see. Thank you for your time. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to visit our website at www.tracknicity.com. Thank you.